Chosen one, what you're about to hear may shock you, but it won't surprise your spirit. If you're reading this right now, it's not by accident. God has divinely led you here because something is shifting in your life. You were disrespected, cast aside, and replaced by someone who only brought confusion and chaos. They thought you were replaceable, but what they failed to understand is that you were never ordinary. You were chosen, and when they dishonored you, they didn't just hurt you, they provoked the anger of God. Now the consequences are unfolding. Their peace is gone. Their plans are crumbling. Regret is consuming them. Meanwhile, you're rising, quietly but powerfully. You're moving from waiting to receiving, from hoping to having. This isn't just a mindset shift, it's a divine realignment. And if this message is reaching your soul, it means your spirit already knows. This word is for you. Before we go deeper, take a moment to do 3 important things. Hit that like button, subscribe to help us reach 10,000 subscribers, and leave a comment with the number 11. That number is a prophetic symbol of alignment and divine timing, and by engaging, you're amplifying the energy of this message. If you're truly a chosen one, you'll feel the pull to stay with this message until the very end, because what comes next will confirm everything God has been whispering to your spirit. There's a heartbreaking story that plays out in silence behind many lives. Someone precious, a diamond in the rough, is cast aside for something far less valuable: dirt. When people trade away what truly matters, thinking they've won a prize, they are blind to the destruction they're inviting. It's not just a bad decision, it's a tragic misjudgment that costs them peace, joy, and often their future. Imagine giving up a rare gem, something pure and full of potential, only to settle for a fleeting moment of comfort or familiarity with something ordinary, flawed, and damaging. That's the story of being replaced, not just by anyone, but by someone who ultimately brings chaos and sorrow. And it's painful to watch those who made this choice begin to unravel because they can no longer hide from the consequences of their foolishness. This isn't just a metaphor. In life, we've seen countless examples where people are replaced in friendships, relationships, or even in careers, and the ones chosen in place of the original blessing become sources of heartbreak rather than happiness. It's a costly trade, and those who made it don't realize how much they've lost until regret tightens its grip on their hearts. The truth is, you were never meant to be taken for granted. You were a diamond, rare, radiant, and valuable. And when they opted for dirt instead, they unknowingly invited hardship and sorrow into their lives. But you are still shining, rising, and proving that true worth can never be buried beneath poor choices. Now, they are the ones who pay the price, living daily with the weight of their mistake, while you continue to rise quietly, stronger, and more resilient than ever. It's a painful lesson, but one that carries a divine message. Never settle for less than what you deserve. Disrespect isn't just about words or actions. It's about dismissing someone's value, purpose, and destiny. When they treated you with contempt, mocked your dreams, or ignored your calling, they didn't just disrespect you. They disrespected God's plan for your life. But here's the truth that many fail to understand. God is always watching, and nothing escapes His attention. Even in your darkest moments, when you felt unseen or undervalued, God was holding every tear, every pain, and every injustice. He was carefully weaving your story, not letting a single insult or rejection fall through the cracks. Their disrespect was loud and painful, but God's gaze was silent, powerful, and full of purpose. The world may have laughed at your purpose or questioned your worth, but God was silently orchestrating your vindication. He sees every moment they turned their backs, every word that cut like a blade, and He is turning it into fuel for your rise. You were never forgotten or discarded. You were being prepared. History is full of stories where people deemed unworthy or too much trouble were actually chosen by God for greater purposes. Think of Joseph, who was betrayed by his brothers, or David, overlooked by his own family. Their disrespectful treatment became the backdrop for divine promotion, and so it will be for you. So hold your head high. Know that while they were busy disrespecting you, God was watching, protecting you, preparing you, and ensuring that your purpose would not be diminished but magnified beyond measure. There is an ancient truth written across the ages. God is not mocked. When they showed contempt toward you, it was more than a personal slight. It was an offense against the divine. Mocking the anointed, those chosen for a sacred purpose, sets in motion a force far beyond human retaliation. It awakens a wrath rooted in holy justice, not mere anger. Their arrogance blinded them. They laughed, jeered, and thought they could silence your purpose by replacing you or diminishing your value. But what they failed to understand is that mocking the anointed is a direct challenge to God's authority. It stirs a divine response, swift and unstoppable, designed to restore what was stolen and punish what was broken. You see, God's wrath isn't about petty revenge. It's about justice that rips apart the lies and deceptions that cover pride and arrogance. When they disrespected you, they unknowingly triggered a spiritual force that will dismantle their false security and bring their plans to ruin. Throughout Scripture and human history, we witness this principle. Those who mock or oppose the chosen often face unexpected downfall. Their kingdoms crumble, their peace evaporates, and their futures are swallowed by regret. This is no accident. It is divine order in action, correcting what was distorted. So let them mock all they want. Let them continue in their pride. But know this: God is not mocked, and their disrespect has set off a chain reaction that will end in their defeat and your exaltation. Have you ever been called crazy for believing in your dreams or standing for your truth? It's a bitter pill to swallow when those closest to you dismiss your vision as foolishness. They labeled you unstable, unrealistic, or a problem. But little did they realize, their words would one day become the echo of their own regret. When people don't understand what you're about, they often resort to ridicule to make themselves feel safe. Calling you crazy was their way of justifying their decision to replace you or abandon your path. It was a mask for their fear and insecurity, not a reflection of your worth or potential. But time has a way of revealing the truth. Now the same voices that mocked you are the ones haunted by regret. They watch helplessly as the crazy one they discarded rises with strength, dignity, and undeniable purpose. The realization that they were wrong is a heavy burden, a weight that crushes the spirit and eats away at their peace. Regret is a painful teacher, but it's a lesson that reveals who was truly wise and who was blinded by pride. The irony is stark. Those who called you crazy are now the ones who can't escape the madness of their mistakes. Meanwhile, you stand tall, proof that faith and conviction can triumph over doubt and mockery. So wear their insults like badges of honor. Let their doubt fuel your fire. Because in the end, it's not about their opinion. It's about the destiny God has placed inside you. A destiny they foolishly tried to destroy. They thought they found a better option, the nasty one, who seemed exciting, new, or different. But what they didn't see was that this choice was not a blessing, but a curse cloaked in disguise. Sometimes, what seems like a solution only brings deeper problems and chaos into our lives. This nasty one was a false promise wrapped in temptation. Like a wolf in sheep's clothing, they offered what your replacers craved but lacked real substance, integrity, or peace. What followed was predictable: heartbreak, confusion, betrayal, and destruction. It was the poison they swallowed, thinking it was medicine. The consequences of choosing poorly don't just affect those directly involved. They ripple outwards, breaking trust, damaging relationships, and stirring conflict that feels impossible to contain. When people replace what is precious with what is toxic, they invite disaster into their own lives. But here's the divine truth. What they thought was a gain turned into their greatest loss. That nasty one didn't elevate them. They dragged them down, exposing their folly and leaving them empty. Meanwhile, you, the true chosen, are rising above it all, untouched by the curse that binds them. This story serves as a warning and a comfort. Don't be fooled by the shiny new thing. True value can't be replaced, and those who try often find themselves trapped in the consequences of their own poor choices. When earthly battles rage around you, there is a greater, unseen battle already being fought in the heavens. Heaven has not been silent while they cast you aside. It has declared war on your behalf. This is not a war of noise or clashing swords, but a spiritual battle where divine forces move with precision to reclaim what was stolen and restore what was broken. Imagine armies aligning in your favor, angels standing guard over your destiny, and the very forces of nature bending to bring justice. That's the reality when God steps in. They may have thought their rejection was final, but it was the spark that ignited a spiritual uprising, a divine response that no human weapon can defeat. Throughout history, God has always protected and fought for those He chooses. The underdog who was overlooked, the one who faced betrayal and humiliation. These are the ones heaven rallies around. Your struggle is not unnoticed. It's the signal for a heavenly campaign that turns your pain into power. This war is not about vengeance that destroys, but justice that restores. It dismantles the enemy's schemes and rebuilds your future on unshakable ground. The pride that led to your fall is being broken, and the walls of regret are closing in on those who wronged you. So stand firm, knowing the battle has already been declared, and heaven's forces are working relentlessly for your triumph. The war is won before the final blow is struck because God fights for His chosen, and you are one of them. Revenge isn't always loud or explosive. Sometimes it's the quiet, unstoppable movement of divine justice that leaves no doubt it was God's hand at work. Your revenge is not petty or fueled by bitterness. It's a holy reclaiming of what was lost, a swift and powerful restoration that those who hurt you won't see coming. Think of it like a river cutting through rock, not with violence, but with persistence and unstoppable force. God's revenge flows quietly but relentlessly, changing landscapes and reshaping destinies. It is justice that cannot be bribed, bargained with, or blocked. While they boast and celebrate their temporary victories, God is orchestrating your rise with wisdom beyond their understanding. They won't hear the footsteps coming until you're standing tall, a living testimony of God's power to redeem and elevate. This kind of revenge humbles pride and exposes lies. It restores your reputation, your peace, and your purpose, leaving no room for doubt about who was truly chosen and who was merely a passing shadow. So trust the process. You don't need to shout or fight in anger. God is working quietly, swiftly, and powerfully on your behalf, making sure the scales of justice are balanced and your true victory is undeniable. Blessings aren't always recognized until they're gone. You were a blessing, whether they admitted it or not. And now that you're no longer in their lives, they are beginning to see the depth of what they lost. The void you left is not just empty space. It's a reminder of the treasure they carelessly discarded. Blessings bring peace, joy, and progress. They nurture growth and create stability. But when a blessing is ignored or replaced, the absence is felt deeply. The chaos that follows isn't coincidence. It's the natural consequence of rejecting what was good. Many who lose blessings try to fill the gap with substitutes, but those never satisfy. The loss becomes a weight that presses on their hearts, manifesting as restlessness, regret, and confusion. The blessing you were wasn't just a role. It was a divine gift designed to uplift and transform their lives. Meanwhile, your life continues to bloom, your purpose shines brighter, and your spirit grows stronger. You were more than a blessing. They were blessed by having you. And now, without you, they face the harsh reality of loss every single day. This moment serves as a powerful lesson. Blessings are precious, and when they leave, the loss is profound. But for you, it's only the beginning of a beautiful, unstoppable journey. When people disrespect someone chosen by God, they're not just playing with fire. They're stepping into a dangerous game with consequences far beyond their control. Disrespect is a signal that they don't understand the power behind the person they are undermining. It's like trying to silence thunder or stop the tide. The more they push and mock, the more intense the response becomes. Disrespecting a chosen one is like poking a sleeping lion. It only awakens strength that was once dormant. The spiritual realm sees what the natural eye cannot. God's chosen are protected and empowered beyond human limits. Every insult or rejection aimed at you is a challenge that will backfire on those who dared to defy God's plan. This danger isn't about fear, it's about respect and awareness. When people realize too late that they've crossed a line they should never have approached, their regret is overwhelming and irreversible. So for those who are listening, honor the chosen, because disrespecting them is far riskier than it appears. And for you, hold fast to your calling, knowing you are safeguarded by divine power that no enemy can overcome. Sometimes it takes absence for people to understand true value. Now that you've been removed or replaced, those who once ignored or underestimated you are forced to face the reality of who you really were. And the truth is undeniable. The silence you left behind speaks louder than words ever could. The peace and progress they lost when you were pushed aside reveal your true impact. It's a painful awakening, but a necessary one for those who refuse to see. This revelation is often accompanied by regret, confusion, and a deep longing for what was lost. They begin to realize you were more than just someone to fill a role. You were a gift, a light, and a force for good that they foolishly dismissed. Your absence exposes their poor choices and sets the stage for your eventual vindication. The narrative changes from doubt to admiration, and though it may come too late for them, it serves as undeniable proof that you were never ordinary. So let their realization fuel your confidence. You are valuable, needed, and irreplaceable, and now the world is beginning to understand exactly that. Mockery is often the first weapon people use when they can't understand or control something greater than themselves. They mocked your anointing, the sacred calling, the divine favor, and thought it was nothing but a joke. But mockery has consequences, especially when it's aimed at those who carry God's purpose. What follows mockery is fallout, chaos, loss, and broken dreams for those who dared to belittle what they did not comprehend. Their laughter turns to silence, their pride to shame, as the weight of their actions catches up to them. This fallout isn't just emotional, it manifests in every area of life. Relationships crumble, plans fail, and peace disappears. The mockers become prisoners of their own arrogance, trapped in a cycle of regret and despair. Meanwhile, your anointing remains intact, growing stronger and shining brighter. The contrast couldn't be clearer. Mockery destroyed them, but it elevated you. It's a divine paradox that highlights the power of God's favor. So let them mock all they want. The fallout they face is proof that they underestimated what was sacred, and you are living proof that anointing can never be mocked into oblivion. Many betrayals and disrespectful acts happen behind closed doors, in whispered conversations, secret decisions, and hidden agendas. But God's justice doesn't operate in secrecy. What they tried to hide in shadows will be brought to light for all to see. This divine exposure is not about shame, but about truth. When God judges publicly, it's a call for transparency, restoration, and accountability. No act of disrespect against the chosen can remain concealed indefinitely. The pain of betrayal may have felt private, but the judgment that follows is public. Their secrets unravel, their lies are exposed, and their true intentions become clear. It's a divine unveiling that restores your honor and breaks the power of deception. This is a powerful reminder that no wrongdoing escapes God's sight. The silence of the oppressed is heard, and the hidden becomes visible, ensuring that justice prevails. So trust that what was done in secret is not forgotten. It is being judged openly, and your vindication is on full display. There's a cruel illusion that some people believe, that no one is irreplaceable. They thought they could swap you out like a disposable item, believing the world wouldn't notice, or that your value was negligible. But God shattered that lie completely. You are unique, with a purpose and calling that cannot be duplicated. No one else could fill your space with the same grace, strength, or destiny. God's plan for you is one of a kind, and those who tried to replace you only highlighted their own blindness. This truth is often revealed in the chaos that follows your absence, the void that no one else can fill. The replacement doesn't bring peace or progress, only reminders of what was lost. God's proof is clear. You are irreplaceable. Your life, your purpose, and your presence are vital threads in the tapestry of His plan. Threads that cannot be removed without unraveling the whole. So hold on to this truth with confidence. You were never meant to be replaced, and God's hand will ensure that everyone eventually sees that undeniable fact. Betrayal is one of the deepest wounds a person can endure. It cuts through trust, shatters hope, and leaves scars that seem impossible to heal. But God has a miraculous way of transforming betrayal into elevation, a divine alchemy that turns pain into power. What was meant to destroy you became the very thing that launched you higher. Every act of betrayal was a stepping stone, every rejection a catalyst for your rise. God doesn't waste pain. He repurposes it for your glory. This elevation is not just about success or recognition. It's about spiritual growth, maturity, and destiny fulfilled. You've moved from victim to victor, from castaway to chosen, and your story is now a beacon of hope for others. Their betrayal became the fuel for your breakthrough. It opened doors, sharpened your resilience, and refined your character in ways that comfort never could. So embrace your elevation. It's the divine response to betrayal, a testimony that no matter how deep the wound, God's power is deeper. There comes a moment when those who caused pain realize too late that they need mercy, but judgment has already begun. They are left begging God for relief from the storm they helped create, but the wheels of justice are already turning. This isn't about cruelty, it's about accountability. Their prayers may rise in desperation, but God's timing is perfect. Judgment doesn't mean punishment without purpose. It means correction, restoration, and the protection of what is right. Their begging is a sign of regret and fear, but it cannot reverse what has been set into motion. The consequences of their choices have taken root, and healing can only begin when they acknowledge their mistakes. Meanwhile, you stand secure, covered by God's grace and shielded by His justice. Their cries serve as a reminder that actions have consequences and that God honors His chosen by ensuring justice is served. So let them beg and plead. The judgment has begun, and your victory is assured, because God never forsakes His own. When they tried to silence you, whether through rejection, ignoring your voice, or dismissing your dreams, they didn't realize they were planting the seeds of your loudest victory. Silence often feels like defeat, but in God's timing, it becomes the calm before a powerful storm of triumph. Think of it like a seed buried deep in the soil, hidden, overlooked, but growing stronger beneath the surface. Your silence wasn't weakness, it was preparation. While they celebrated your absence, God was preparing a voice that would echo far beyond their reach. They tried to erase you from their story, but God's plan refuses to be erased. Your victory will speak louder than any word they used to dismiss you. The quiet endurance you showed is shaping a comeback so undeniable, it will leave them stunned. So cherish the silence. Let it fuel your determination, sharpen your focus, and remind you that sometimes the greatest roar comes from those who've been forced to be quiet for a time. There's a deceptive comfort in thinking you've won by replacing someone, but this false security is like a castle built on sand. It cannot stand. Every boast, every smug smile, every moment of peace they claim is fragile and temporary, because divine justice has begun shaking the very ground beneath them. Their plans, once thought unshakable, are now falling apart, piece by piece. What seemed like stability was only an illusion, and the cracks in their foundation are growing wider each day. They are scrambling to hold on, but the ground is shifting beneath their feet. This collapse isn't random. It's a direct consequence of choosing poorly, of disrespecting what was sacred. The chaos they experience is a mirror reflecting their own mistakes, and no amount of denial can stop the fall. Meanwhile, you stand on solid rock, God's unmovable foundation, watching their false security crumble while you rise higher and higher. Their fall is your confirmation that God's justice is real and relentless. Faith is often invisible to the naked eye, but it's the most powerful weapon against doubt, rejection, and betrayal. While they doubted your purpose, laughed at your dreams, and dismissed your calling, your faith quietly conquered every obstacle. Your trust in God became the fortress no enemy could breach. Even when their words cut deep and their actions betrayed, your faith held you steady. It didn't make the pain disappear, but it gave you strength to endure and hope to keep moving forward. Faith is not passive, it's active power. It's what turned every setback into a setup for a greater comeback. Their doubt could not penetrate the spiritual armor you wore, crafted by prayer, hope, and God's promises. So hold on to your faith tightly. It is the invisible force that secured your victory, the weapon that defeated their disbelief, and the light that guides you through the darkest valleys. Fear is a powerful motivator, sometimes more powerful than love or logic. They feared what you could become, the impact you could make, and the change you represented. Instead of facing that fear with respect or courage, they chose to try and destroy your potential. Their actions were born out of insecurity. They couldn't handle the idea of you rising higher or shining brighter, so they attacked your character, your dreams, and your reputation. But fear-driven destruction is never lasting. It only reveals their own weakness. What they failed to realize is that potential fueled by divine purpose cannot be destroyed. Like fire, it may be momentarily smothered, but it inevitably breaks free, burning brighter and stronger than before. Their fear is your testimony. You survived their attempts to crush you, proving that true potential is unstoppable, and that fear is no match for faith and destiny. One of the hardest things to accept is waiting for God's timing, when your heart is aching and your future seems uncertain. But God's timing is never off, even when it feels like you're stuck in a season of silence and sorrow. You may feel forgotten or overlooked, but God is never late. Every delay, every pause, and every moment of waiting is a part of His perfect plan to shape you, prepare you, and position you for what's next. Think of a master artist patiently working on a masterpiece. Each stroke, each layer is intentional, building something beautiful and breathtaking. That's what God is doing with your life behind the scenes. So be patient and trust the process. What you see now is just the beginning. When God moves, He moves powerfully, and your breakthrough will come right on time. Pride is often the root of many failures, and for those who replaced and disrespected you, pride was the seed that led to their downfall. They acted arrogantly, believing they knew better than God's plan and that they could rewrite your story without consequences. Their pride blinded them to the truth and deafened them to warnings. They walked confidently into a trap of their own making, unaware that God sees the heart and humbles the proud. As their pride grew, so did their vulnerability. Their fall was inevitable because pride cannot stand before the humility that God demands. The higher they climbed in their arrogance, the harder the fall would be. This is a timeless lesson. Pride may lift you temporarily, but humility grounded in God's truth is what sustains and elevates forever. One of the most powerful realities in life is that while some people remain trapped in regret, you are moving forward. They are stuck in a painful loop of what-ifs and if-onlys, unable to escape the weight of their poor decisions. Meanwhile, your life is progressing, your dreams are unfolding, your purpose is being fulfilled, and your spirit is growing stronger every day. This contrast isn't just coincidence, it's divine justice at work. Regret paralyzes, but faith propels. Where they are immobilized by their mistakes, you are energized by God's promises. Their backward glance keeps them stuck, but your forward focus keeps you climbing. Remember, growth and progress are the best revenge. As you rise, their regret deepens, proving that God honors those who remain faithful through the storm. When someone chooses to discard you or replace you, it may feel like they stole something precious. But the truth is, what they lost was never theirs to keep. Your value, your destiny, and your calling belonged to God and no one else. They had a temporary hold on you, but your life's purpose is eternal. They mistreated a gift, but they cannot claim ownership over it. Your worth is defined by divine decree, not human opinion. This truth frees you from bitterness and anger. What they lost is a blessing slipping through their fingers, a treasure that continues to shine regardless of their rejection. You remain untouchable in your identity and purpose. What was never theirs to keep is now your ticket to a future filled with promise and divine favor. Critics are inevitable, but God's favor is unstoppable. No matter how loudly others speak against you, God's blessing on your life will silence their voices and prove their words wrong. Favor is not just about success. It's about divine protection, open doors, and supernatural provision. It's a shield that deflects attacks and a light that illuminates your path. When others try to tear you down, God's favor will build you up in ways they cannot understand or control. Their criticism becomes background noise to your unstoppable progress. So walk boldly in God's favor. Let it be the proof that their opinions don't define you, and that you are chosen, protected, and destined for greatness. At the heart of your journey is a testament to God's unfailing love. Despite betrayal, rejection, and hardship, His love has never left your side. It's the thread that weaves through every trial, holding you together and pushing you forward. Your story isn't just about pain, it's about redemption, healing, and hope. It shows how God's love transforms brokenness into beauty and despair into victory. Others will look at your life and see proof that no matter how dark the night, God's love is the light that guides us all home. Your resilience and faith inspire others to trust God's love in their own storms. Embrace this truth. Your journey is living evidence that God's love is greater than any obstacle, and that love will always prevail. When they tried to silence you, they thought they were winning. But what they didn't understand is that silence often signals a gathering storm. Their refusal to hear your voice, to recognize your worth, was only a temporary pause in the grand symphony God is composing through your life. Sometimes the loudest victories come after the quietest moments, and your silence is the canvas on which God is painting your future triumph. Being silenced feels like an erasure, a stripping away of identity and purpose. It's a heavy burden to bear, and it can crush the spirit if we let it.